Yeah, here, go. Just walk through the basic, like what you're thinking for the training prescription there.
So this is again like not making assumptions on people. And so one of the things that I'll do with like the sprinters in like the summer, so we do a lot of like Olympic lifting variations, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But in the summer we don't do them at all. I don't do any Olympic lifting whatsoever.
Okay.
But we do variants being like powered like jump shrugs from various joint angles. And so it kind of takes them back to like when I first get them, we do a lot of like positional isos.
Mm-hmm.
In the three primary positions, I kind of teach them a top down, bottom up, as far as like from the actual position they're moving within.
Mm-hmm.
And so they know all other Olympic movements, not by like a hip or a hang or from the floor. They know that as well a little bit later on. They know it's by position.
Mm-hmm.
So I know my freshmen, I'll say, hey, we're gonna do our cleans today. You're gonna go position 1. They know exactly what that is. Position 2, they know exactly what that is. Position 3, they know exactly what that is.
Okay.
And so here, utilizing positional positions like the same exact same way we do with them, but we'll introduce or teach a jump shrug, which is a very like, there's no real mobility constraint, there's not a huge barrier to entry there, it's pretty clear. And then as far as even from a loading perspective, how you begin to load it, kind of matriculate it up, you just progressively increase it, we can go off percentages, but if you can no longer leave the ground, it's too heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very easy feedback for the individual too in real time, even with the athletes. They know it's okay, like where load I'm at, maybe I went up a little bit. If I can't leave the ground anymore, the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very like base level introduction rate of force development sort of modality within the program as a way to kind of go about doing that.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And then pair that up, long lever hamstring ISO,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll do front squat, Badger protocol, and we can provide different kind of options within this.
Mm-hmm.
Front squat, well, some people have issues like in that front rack. Zercher is another option we can do. We do a heel elevated Zercher, kind of what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Something very, very like just quad dominant, anteriorly dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Zercher and front I like a lot because it does a good job of teaching actual like pelvic orientation, like position, posture.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you have to maintain neutrality. It teaches that, reinforces it.
Mm-hmm.
So just especially in heel elevated position, and we can probably provide some guidelines for people too, based upon like limb length, anthropometrics, which option might be best suited for them.
Mm-hmm.
So like what I've started doing, I actually have some time, but what I started doing is when they came in, athletes come on campus now, is we'll do like an initial sort of like limb length, anthropometric measure assessment on them,
Mm-hmm.
and given like different proportions of their lengths, certain exercises just tend to fit them a little bit better, and they're going to be a little more prone or biased certain like deficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're kind of within that, we kind of provide them with some indication as far as which might be the better choice for you.
Yeah, so essentially using their, let's say, anatomy to figure out, hey, what type of lifting, what kind of lift should I be in to constrain you,
Yeah.
so that you're doing something that's anterior dominant, that also anterior dominant, but it's also making sure the pelvis is in the correct orientation that will translate over to sprint mechanics. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's important because you're selecting exercises based off of the ability to sprint, which is, I
Right.
think, should be known.
Right.
And then you're also saying that in position 1A, so that's, or in 1A, where you have like the 3 positions, and then it goes to the long lever hamstring. The long lever hamstring is an ISO, so it's a static environment, so the neural network can figure out what is the hamstring.
Mm-hmm.
So you're essentially going positionals to long lever, so there's the hamstring. Then you're moving them into the front squat, which is more anterior.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yeah. No, we eccentric load the hamstring. RDL.
Okay. So then you're going. I like it. Okay. So you're going isometric, static first. Then after the front squat, which is more anterior dominant, and you're even making real time adjustments where it's like maybe I have to elevate this athlete's heels or whatnot because so walk me through that. Is that because you'll do that so that the pelvic orientation is optimal from a external coaching perspective.
Right, and teaching them neutrality. I think a lot of especially athletes of a really high lifting age, training age, we tend to get into they're an extension all the time.
Right.
And their thought process or their means of accomplishing a lot of things is just getting into more and more extension.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When in sprinting, that is not.
Spine extension is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
They tend to get just generally extended, external rotating everywhere.
Right.
And in sprinting, that's not what we want.
Okay, perfect. So, and then after the statics, then you're taking the barbell and you're going, hey, we're going to do eccentrics for the hamstring.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Because it's worth highlighting it that you're prescribing a barbell RDL, and you're thinking about the barbell RDL from the internal aspect and the hamstring, and then you're biasing it even more where it's like this eccentric tissue elongation focus.
Yeah.
Right, and that's also how you also selected 2A, because you want it long lever, but you want it isometrically.
Then accumulation time 2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, and
So
so
like a 3 by 40 construct.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, which makes sense. So the constraint is duration. That duration of 40 seconds a piece for accumulation of 2 minutes. Walk us through what made you select that.
So that's kind of that sweet spot, right, where we're getting the stimulation of new connective tissue growth, right? And you actually get the osteoblasts later on new collagen fibers.
Mm-hmm.
And later on the left, eccentric, now we're providing eccentric force lines upon which we want those new connective tissue fibers to orient themselves.
Yeah, so there's reactive strength biases behind that as well. Yeah, for sure. Perfect. And then I don't want to. So then when it goes down to 1D, the Z press, we're probably thinking that posture is a
Big posture again.
yeah. So take us
Now
through.
it's just waist up, right? So Z press,
Oh.
Z press, you're sitting on the ground, right? Legs are straight out in front of you, and you're doing an overhead press.
Mhm.
Right, from that position, having to maintain upright posture, because obviously if you go back, over excessive extension, what have you, you're just going to fall backwards.
Yeah.
Right? Now, again, we can make this to where, give you a couple options. Dumbbell, obviously, is the most approachable version, probably of overhead pressing in general, because now you don't have to deal with this moving around, moving around your head. Your head's no longer a problem. Barbell, obviously, now you have to deal with just the movement around the actual skull.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that, then the eccentric chin up paired with. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's not a ton of, auxiliary exercises would probably be the common term. Generally, what we would then do is a lot of more of our maybe auxiliary type movements. I put on the other days, which will be a little more low CNS fatiguing in general. Where a more high dynamic intensity or high intensity by either intensity load or high intensity by velocity we'll have on the other 2 days.
Okay.